we look at our final category, if you will, here, black characters in horror films. So this is so layered for me, and this is probably less in an academic research sense and more of just a quick reflection on my first introduction to horror, because I am a self-admitted huge fan. I don't always mess with these films in the theaters. Some of them are a little too scary for me to go out in public and watch, but certainly on the Netflix or the Hulu, I'd be more inclined. So, guys, when I think of my first memories of horror, think of a few characters. Freddy Krueger, of course, Nightmare Before Elm Street. We have the Jason films, Friday the 13th. I was born in 93, so this was kind of what was a part of the zeitgeist when I could first.
So the movies that I grew up with were classics to you at this point.
Yes,
right?
yeah. This is what, Brad, these were on when I could turn the channel at night when my parents went to bed, and I could try to find and play on low volume. So Freddy, Jason, JD, same.
For the sake of your listeners, I just want to point out you said you were born in 93. That's why he called it Nightmare Before Elm Street. Like Nightmare Before Christmas. It's Nightmare on Elm Street. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh.
Freddy Krueger and Jack Skellington are breaking into a duet.
Let me confirm. I do know the title. JD,
stabbing people, stealing Christmas, whole thing.
I deserve that. You know the vision, Brad. I'm gonna say, as I try to get out of this, I'm going to say that I think of those two dudes. Of course, you have Michael Myers in Halloween, right? But my point here is that Peele, this is the first time that I can think of a film, or several films in this case, where black actors and actresses were the leads, were the protagonists. And as the stereotype has lived on, they somehow reversed this trend of black characters being the first to die in these films. I think you guys probably remember the Scary Movie franchise and how they played off of these tropes. And I remember like one of the Wayans brothers, right, being the first to die in the films. I'm so happy I can reference Kelly Rowland on our show, Brad, for the first time ever. I think of Kelly Rowland, the beautiful Kelly Rowland of Destiny's Child fame, in Freddy versus Jason from 2003.
Oh my God.
I was obsessed with that film back in the day. I don't think Kelly was the first to die, but I don't think her character was given the depth, obviously, that Peele's leads have been, right? Whether it's Lupita in Us, whether it's Keke Palmer in Nope, which I know we'll start with here, whether it's Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out. These characters are layered and nuanced and have feelings and insecurities and a past. And we just weren't getting that, or I certainly wasn't getting that with the films that I was watching for, say, the first 22, I guess, the 23 years of my life. Jabari, what do you think about this?
Well, I mean, let's be real. This has been a trope forever. Like, for one, when Brad and I were growing up, and actually I'll just say when I was growing up, because I'm the elder statesman, like here in this conversation, we didn't even get black characters, man. Like when we had that one black character on Hunter, it was like, oh snap. Oh, I mean, he's a snitch for the cops, but that's okay. He's one of us. It was Garrett Morgan. So what I can appreciate is kind of to that, not even the fact that we're not the first to go, but to the point that you were making, all jokes aside, multifaceted characters, actual characters, and not just not just. And now I'm going to definitely age myself. Back in the day, Star Trek. Now this is way before my time, but yeah, you know what? I had Nick at Night or whatever the heck it came on. Star Trek. Whenever they beamed up somewhere and it was that other guy that you've never even seen before in the story, you knew that was going to be the one.
Red Shirt City.
Yeah, Red Shirt City. Exactly. You knew for a fact.
Yeah.
Prior to, like, I won't even say it's only Peele, but prior to Peele, you knew for a fact, like, the black guy was going to be, the black guy was out of there. It just was. But beyond that, like, the fact that he, again, you're bringing it back, the fact that he makes them real people, the fact that he, not everybody is perfect and, not everybody is great, but at the same time, they actually have agency and they're, actual real individuals. It's kind of a testament to, to the brilliance of his writing, because it's not even, I don't even feel like he's heavy handed with it, even though, it's to people that aren't accustomed to it, they may see some of that.
Yeah, I think so. I was doing a deep dive on this. I was trying to figure out, like, what is it? And I think the problem is a lot of people will go and take it literally as the very first person to die in a horror film is going to be the black dude dies first, right? Like, I found the quote from I don't know. Did you guys ever see Evolution? Did you see that movie?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Okay, I
like
enjoyed it.
2000.
It's terrible,
Yeah.
and I love it. I love
David
everything about
Duchovny.
it. It was David Duchovny
100%.
and Orlando Jones and
Orlando Jones.
And Stifler. No, not Stifler.
it's the guy that played. Yeah, it was Stifler.
yeah.
It was that guy.
Yeah, Stifler. There we go.
I can never remember his name.
And
It's those three, and what's her
Amazing.
face? Not Silence of the Lambs, but Hannibal, and also throwing paint around a big
Moore,
basket.
Julianne Moore.
Thank you. Couldn't think of her name.
Yep.
You guys are
I can
having a
think of her
moment
name.
right now.
Yeah,
I love it.
Listen, man, that movie has a lot of like just guilty pleasure laughs in it, specifically with Orlando Jones' character. But he straight up said, "I've seen this movie. The black dude dies first when they're moving into a thing," and it was one of the quotes I
Orlando
thought
off
was
the
stuff.
top rope.
It was so great. I love that movie. And then
Loved Orlando.
I want some ice cream after they have to fish a bug out of him. Was like, well, what flavor do you want? Doesn't matter. It's for my ass. That will pop me every single time. This deep dive brought me down to a statistics track here, and it's in 52% of films. In 52% of horror films, the first person to die is a white woman, and that makes so much sense because they're not a character. They're just there. It's well, you get like freaking Drew Barrymore was the first death in Scream. It was Drew Barrymore. Who saw that coming? She's just in the kitchen and then she's just stabbed, and that's how the movie starts. But that's not a character. It's just this being to go, oh, we're setting it up. It's like the librarian at the beginning of Ghostbusters. Nobody cares about that. It's to set up the movie that ghosts are real, and we're going to go on this little adventure here. So I don't think
they hear a sound, they investigate it.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just like see what's going on in the forest where I heard something.
Yes.
What is that?
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Exactly.
Let me go downstairs to the basement.
But Jabari, to your point, I think because I also grew up with reruns, and especially Next Generation was my Saturday morning. Star Trek: The Next Generation was my Saturday morning. I have to clean my room. It's the only TV I get on my 13 channels with the rabbit ears. So I'm gonna watch that in my room while I clean. And then I became a dork later on and really started watching it. Encounter at Farpoint Station. I believe the first death is like the black lieutenant at the table stands up to shoot Q, and Q just freezes his ass and he falls down dead. First person to die in the new Star Trek is not a white dude. It's just some rando at the helm who's a person of color. So the trope is real.
Wait, Brad, you weren't watching Soul Train every Saturday morning when you were doing that?
I don't believe we were getting that in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
They didn't even broadcast.
I believe we were getting hunting news and like
big Don
farmers
Cornelius fan base in the UP. Absolutely.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. Oh man, you're from Chicago. Yeah. It's nearby.
Well, listen, we got WGN. I loved some Chicago. I mean, the grand prize game.
If that's the case, then you probably got Soul Train.
I probably did.
It was there.
Probably
you remember WGN,
yeah. We also got what is it, the Grand Old Opry. So I can tell you that both of those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
That existed.
Yeah. Oh, that existed on my grandparents' television.
Yeah.
24/7. Couldn't stand it.
Oh,
couldn't stand it then. Can't stand it now. I just can't do it. Yeah, man. I think the 52% kind of surprised me. So I also went through, well, what about black main characters that aren't necessarily like secondary characters in a film, or like we have the token black guy. Candyman. I went through the list. Two of the top 10 characters on this list were from Jordan Peele films. Candyman. Who can forget about Blackula? Dick.
Wait, time out. When's the last time either one of you watched that original Candyman?
Oh man, like a couple of years ago.
I've never seen it. I've only seen the new one.
Oh, so scary.
Oh, not to worry, but it is a classic.
It's so good.
Do you remember the single mother, that character?
Yeah, yes.
Just go back and watch it, man. I was retroactively offended as hell, and I used to watch that movie with they 100%. Why you want to come up in here? What we doing, man? What? It's bad. Like it's bad.
That came out.
1992.
Late 90s. 1992.
Early.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I
Not good.
went through Disney and I was like, hey, Freya, let's watch. I think you'd really like Peter Pan. And that was the last time we've watched Peter Pan in this house.
You gonna watch
The
Breakfast
next,
at Tiffany's next? I'm sorry. go ahead.
oh yeah, poor Mickey and his very real teeth.
Hmm.
Maybe we'll do some West Side Story after that. Uh,
There you go.
Dick Halloran, character you may not remember by name, but he was like the mentor in The Shining. He didn't die
Oh, okay.
first, but he definitely died.
Mhm.
Tales from the Hood, Mr. Sims,
Right.
Tales from the Hood in general.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
love the cover art for Tales in the Hood. And then we have Ben. I brought up Night of the Living Dead like 15 times. One of my favorite characters of all time. I love that movie. He survives at the end and pokes his head out to see if it's clear and gets shot in the face by a hunting party. The end. And then he just gets yeeted onto the pile of dead bodies like garbage. And that's the way the movie ends. It's just crushingly sad. I sat there the first time watching it just with my jaw open, going, that's a joke,
This is
right?
it.
Like this is it.
That's that's the grand
Good
finale.
Lord.
We're done.
Incredible though. Poindexter, Fool in The People Under the Stairs, comedy character, but nonetheless,
Mhm.
Sugar Hill. I am totally unfamiliar with Sugar Hill. My personal favorite on this
Wait, is that the
list,
one with Wesley Snipes? Sugar
I can't
Hill?
remember. That might be it. Yeah. But I was
I
thinking of
think so.
the lead character, her
Uh,
name. I can't. I think she wasn't that
Gotcha.
was just her name. And then Blade. What?
Oh,
Come
man.
on, man. But I don't think of
That
Blade
was
as
the
a
time.
horror movie. I think of it as a comic book movie. So it's just so different
Yeah.
in that
Very
sense. But I
sci-fi.
mean, but like looking at it again, it's like, well, it's a horror movie. You got vampires everywhere trying
Yeah.
to kill
Wesley
people.
did his
And,
thing. Yeah, that was peak Wesley.
man, those
Absolutely.
movies also guilty pleasures. I love them. I don't care if they're bad.
Wait, time out. They don't have to be guilty pleasures. Those movies are fantastic. Those
Yeah,
movies are.
Blade 3, fine with me. Go ahead and
You
put
know
it on.
what? We're
Was it
DDT
Triple H?
in the vampire world. Like
Yes.
that. This is what
Triple H, I believe,
100%.
was in-
Triple H
in
was it
Blade
2 or
3.
3? I
was.
believe.
I think it was
Yes.
3. I don't think he
Three.
was in 2. He might have been. He wasn't in 2, right? Like
He was in
2
three.
was too
No, I
good
got
to
you.
be in.
Yes.
Yeah, Blade 2 was great.
They still took
I
two
love that
seriously.
movie. Yes. Blade 3 was well, Ryan
They said-
Reynolds and it was
Mhm.
it was a whole. But
Mhm.
and I love Ryan Reynolds, but he was playing Deadpool in that movie before playing Deadpool
Mhm.
in Wolverine Origins before playing Deadpool.
Aren't they in the same universe too? Like it?
Yes,
or,
they
or
are
am-
now.
That's fantastic.
They can absolutely cross over. And
Bring 'em
Mahershala
back.
Ali playing Blade.
Mm.
Wasn't happy with the script. It's now pushed back to later 2024 instead of 23. I'm fine with it. Is if they make it good and they make
Get
it
it
right,
right.
I'm happy because I love Mahershala Ali. But it'll be confusing for Luke Cage fans since he was the primary antagonist in season 1. So I don't know how that works in the MCU because
Good
his
point.
sister, the real primary antagonist in 1 and 2, was also in Avengers: Age of Ultron as
Oh,
the
man.
mom of a fallen person or in was it Ultron? No, Civil War as a person whose son died during Age of Ultron. And I hate that I have so much of this in my head.
You can just rattle it off, man. That's
Yeah.
something to be proud of.
They
It's a
figure
illness.
they figure you guys are already suspending belief. It's fine. Like we'll be okay.
Great actors are great actors.
Mhm.
So, guys, I guess I got to ask you then, for Nope in particular here. So, this is the most recent Peele work, and I guess similar to us, and maybe even to a larger extent, very polarizing. I think you can find polarizing takes on the internet. I even want to know just from your friends and the people you're in touch with what the vibe was, because for me, it was very much like us, where it seemed some of us left the theater really in love with it and said, "Oh my God, Jordan Peele's a genius. He did it again. I'm so happy I bought a ticket." And then there was another camp of that was Peele's worst movie. I did not like the ending. What was this? To me, it seemed as though there were not many people in that middle ground of, oh, it was good, but not the greatest movie I've seen. It was either you're on the greatest camp or this is the worst thing Peele's done. I will tell you both that for me, this going back to your point, Jabari, I think Nope is very rewatchable. I've seen it, I think only twice now. I saw it on the opening weekend, and then about a month later, I watched it in the theater. I really loved what Peele did. This is Peele's first just mega blockbuster. The way he shot the film, I think the three of us would agree, it's just beautiful to look at. But deeper than that, I gave Lupita a shout out earlier because she's a queen and she deserves it. Kiki Palmer for me is just absolutely at Lupita's heels in terms of star performances in the Peele verse, if you will. I thought Kiki did a phenomenal job. Of course, we know Daniel Kaluuya delivered. And finally, how I'm going to try to convince those who may not believe that Nope is not great. I'm going to convince you it is because, gentlemen, we had Keith David in this film. Absolute legend in the Black community. I would say just in Hollywood in general, but particularly for us, Keith David is that dude. He is in so many films. To have him as essentially kind of a cameo in this film, and to be sort of the the head of the table, if you will, or the the top dog in this family for so many years, starting this business. I was so happy Keith got the spot. I thought the dude from Fry's Electronics delivered. This movie is much better than I saw the timeline giving it credit for. But I'm going to pause there. Jabari, what did you think of Nope?
Yeah, look, great point on Kiki. While look, I don't. For one, I should be clear. No one's touching Lupita. That's it. That's neither here nor there. I agree with you. Kiki was probably in a movie with Daniel Kaluuya. This is absolutely impressive. She was the best part of that. Best part of that movie. Her performance was the best part of that movie. But I'm willing to say this about Nope. Much like with Us, the first time I saw it, I went in with expectations, and since it didn't follow the script that I anticipated, I didn't like it as much. I'm willing to acknowledge that with Nope, I haven't rewatched it, and it's a Peele movie, so I'm going to, but I'm willing to acknowledge it may just be that some of the stuff was lost on me, that some of the Easter eggs and some of the actual plot development was in there that I felt wasn't. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I can't wait to rewatch it. Particularly for that reason.
So
Yeah,
I love it, man. I when you have DK and you have Kiki front and center of everything, nobody else is competing. Like nobody else is competing. And even though I thought I can't remember the actor's name, he was Glenn in Walking Dead. He played Jupe. That dude he's a really quality actor.
Stephen Wen, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
but he can't. Yeah. He doesn't have the gravitas. He just doesn't have it. Even though I thought his role was great, I thought he performed it really adequately. It's just the character itself was kind of. They never really do a lot. There's a lot of hinting at it, and that's what Jordan Peele does. There's a lot of allusions and a lot of references and a lot of subtle, in a lot of subtle ways. But man, was there just a disconnect for me on him and his past, connected to his present. It was like all that happened to him, but all we have in there is the shoe, which is spectacle. It's a reference of spectacle. I don't think it meant anything. There were people I've had conversations with that thought that maybe the shoe pointing up on the floor
what was that about?
was a reference to the alien thing being jean jacket being above the studio. No, that's not even close. All it was there, because like, why didn't it suck everything up in that case? The whole point there was that was a I saw somebody talking about it as a reference to bad miracles. So back to the religion thing a little bit, but it's bad miracles. Jean jacket is a miracle. Like that's, nobody knows what it is, where it came from. It is a living creature. It is huge. How could this thing possibly be? It's a miracle, but it's a bad miracle. That shoe standing on end perfectly like that is not a good miracle. It is a bad miracle. And I think it was just a symbol. And that's as far as it went. And he sort of memorialized it as a spectacle, as a bad miracle, but it was a spectacle. It's why he had it in a case, kept in his office vault, which is really creepy, because those were all elements of referencing that spectacle.
And that vault, Brad, he charges customers to. I was gonna say, he's profiting off of said not only bad miracles, but just this incredibly traumatic moment that happened in his life that is now used to make his pockets fatter.
Yeah, and having the girl there that got her face ripped off at the event and being under the veil, incredibly creepy visual. That in the trailer, I was like, "What the hell is this movie?" And then seeing it like that, I was like, much less I actually felt bad for her instead of going like, oh, I'm super creeped out. I was like, it's creepy, but I feel bad for this person who had their face removed. But why was she there? It didn't really make any sense to me. It didn't connect to me at all for her to show up there. That was where I had the disconnect.
It felt like the only reason why she was there was to like say like, oh look, and she was at the last attack and now here she is again. But I had the same question because I saw like, well, why would she have been there? Why, well, let me ask you guys this, and maybe this will help me out. What was the purpose of the cameraman? Like, what was his deal? Like, what was he supposed to represent in your estimation?
Brad.
Okay, so this was stuff that I saw that I said I was going to save for later on.
Oh, my bad.
So there's a whole no. This is later on. I started talking about it at the very beginning of this. The UFO jean jacket. It's not a UFO. Well, I guess it is a UFO. It's unidentified. It's flying. It's an object. It's shaped like a camera lens. It's shaped like an eye. The literal dead center of that thing is its eye. It's the eye of a camera. It's literally a big goddamn camera hovering above everybody. People are literally sucked into the eye of the camera. So between the TMZ guy, the family's connection to Hollywood, the famous director totally obsessed with animals and spectacle out of living creatures, the gross park, jean jacket itself, and the cameras, the eyes mounted all over the ranch, all of it, it's pretty obvious that it was about becoming a spectacle while trying to cause a spectacle. They were avoiding this thing, but they were trying to cause one. They were trying to profit. Everybody there was to profit off of a spectacle. So the TMZ guy was going to profit off this. If the TMZ guy who got word of it gets a hold of Jean Jacket, it kills their chances. The whole point of what they're doing is to make money off it, profit off it, save the ranch, all of those things. And this TMZ asshole shows up. And at that point, they're like, oh, he's going to screw everything up, but also he's going to die.
Yeah.
Like he's straight up just going to be a dead man. And then they have a choice to make, which is why I loved the faceless. I'm only obsessed with fame. Yes. I'm only obsessed with this. He didn't even care that he was injured. He was like, did I get the shot? Can it like that kind of stuff? Yeah. Which I thought was bonkers. So to me, the point of it was to reference like the people that will do anything, including throw away their entire life willingly and knowingly, having no face, nobody knowing who they are, having them profit off of this thing. Because I thought the more important part there wasn't that I was a TMZ guy, it was that it was a faceless TMZ guy in a jacket and a helmet. And even I think gloves, you couldn't tell even anything about this person. Right?
Yeah. Well, I remember in the trailer, silly me, I thought this may be some alien entity that was a villain. Right. I was like, who is this? What is this? What is going on? It just turns out, like you said, Brad, it's a TMZ faceless guy who's, introduced one moment and 5 minutes later he's being sucked up by Jean Jacket.
But he died because of that chase for the spectacle, as did the famous director guy who did the same thing. I'm just going to keep
willingly basically just gave himself.
Yeah, this will be the shot of a lifetime, and then he died.
Yeah,
was worthless. Was Angel a guardian angel? Like am I 10
no.
That's a bar.
I wrote the same thing down in my notes. I was like, the guy's name is Angel.
I didn't think about
I know it's a common Latin name. I get it, but Angel is very specific, and I felt like he was the one watching out for them. He didn't die. He was literally watching out for them. He's the eyes of the place. He's the Fry's tech guy, but he was also obsessed with finding out the truth and trying to make money off of the spectacle, which got him caught up in barbed wire, and then dropped not so lovingly later on. But it's man, I think you're onto something there. I don't know if you are, but you can't just name the person Angel and then leave it there.
Yeah, and he's watching. To your point, like you said, he's watching over them the entire time. He's actually reaching out to them, like, "Hey, look out for this," or and coming there and making. He's kind of like where they need him to be throughout the entire time.
Yes.
So I don't know. Like, all
right. Are we convincing you yet, Jabari? I see the wheels spinning. Are we getting closer?
Well, bear in mind, like I said, it wasn't terrible. It was just that, like, I still feel like ultimately it's probably going to settle in the third spot for me. But I'm also willing to acknowledge that it's probably a better story than I gave it, than I initially took in.
I thought
Sure.
story-wise is definitely better, but in terms of characters, it's probably the weakest.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
no,
they didn't do much to develop any of the characters. Like, and maybe that was a point, but yeah, there
right. And
wasn't too much.
it seemed to me as though the going back to an earlier conversation we had, the animals in this film played probably the most vital role in
Yeah.
any of the three films. Like
Right.
Brad, the movie, and Jabbar, you know this, the movie is cut up into different sections, which I think did not work for many audience members. That the film is
Balance.
split up into, yeah, exactly, into the different names of the animals. And that was a curious choice. I didn't necessarily love it, but it didn't necessarily turn me off either, so to speak. I want to know what you guys thought of Jean Jacket and the conclusion of the film. That, I think that's what really did it, right? That's part of what created such a polarizing reaction from those that saw it. Some people thought, oh, this is very art house, unique. I see what Peele was doing. I respect his gangster to go for something different that may not be a crowd pleaser, like Get Out. But then on the other hand, and I felt this way initially, Jabari and Brad, I'll be honest with you. On the other hand, when Kiki's character effectively kills Jean Jacket by releasing the inflatable on the roof, right? Like the Billy Bobby Boy thing. She releases him, and then Jean Jacket obviously sucks it up and then just pops and bursts. And she gets the shot, and then the film's over not too long from there. I thought that was a bit anticlimactic, especially given the conclusions of Us and Get Out. So for those that weren't as high on it, or like you said, Jabari, didn't love it, but thought, okay, I'm going to give it another shot, I can definitely see the rationale there. But now that the three of us have had time to process this film since it's been out a while, what did you guys think of the conclusion here? Do you think this was, I mean, who are we to say, but the right choice by Peele to end the film in such a different way than the other two, and one that I would imagine he knew would be really polarizing for audiences?
So I thought the very end, Kiki's motivations, whatever her character name is, her motivations shifted. It was become famous. Granted, she was still desperately trying to get that shot, but at that point, she was like, "I need to get this shot to make all of this worth it." I think my brother just died. A bunch of people just got hurt. My basically the legacy has been, it's kind of destroyed, and now I got to keep people safe. It's to make sure people don't make the same mistakes I did. So she went back to the well with the quarter and used that thing that everybody leans over to take pictures of themselves, and
Yes.
uses that to catch this thing that they've been trying to catch, and gets a perfect picture of it. And then the spectacle balloon that looks exactly like Jupe floats up into the
That's
sky.
so true.
It's
Yes.
that character
It
was Jupe.
does.
That was just Jupe. Jupe's
Great
character,
call.
Jupe,
Great call.
whatever, floats up and is destroyed. He basically eats the thing that kills him after eating Jupe. But Jupe made a bigger spectacle out of himself, right? Literally a big balloon of himself at Jupiter's landing. He called himself Jupe at Jupiter's landing. Like whatever. This thing went up, it gets inhaled, it gets destroyed, and then Jean Jacket presumably dies. We never really see the thing fall to Earth. We just see it flail around in the sky. So I don't know if it died or not. I'd assume it's probably done, but we really don't know. And it left a lot of that unanswered. And the part that I was like, well, okay, that all happened and she got her shot. Doesn't matter, because what was over her shoulder when she looked over there? 100 cameras getting ready to set up, and they're all getting it anyway. So I don't really know. It felt like a throwaway of what they were trying to do, and her killing the monster at the end was sort of the redemption. And then we get the great like Western shot of whatever
OJ, yeah, OJ and Emerald.
It's Oscar. Is it Oscar Junior? I can't remember. I know it stands for something junior. That's what OJ is. But
right.
I just don't remember what the O was. But anyway, OJ is standing or sitting on the horse, unlucky, silhouette shot through all the smoke. Absolutely
Fantastic.
dope. I loved that. It did feel like a Western, but it was like in Northern California, I think. Somewhere around there, or maybe Southern California. I don't know. It's in California somewhere.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I really liked that. I had no problem with the ending because the story was wrapped up. what I had a problem with was not knowing what the hell that thing was. We never really got an explanation of it, but at the same time, I don't know that we need one because we're talking about it. It's just the characters that died. I didn't really care that they died. The way that, man, when people were floating around inside a jean jacket, I was like, what the hell is kind of spaceship is this?
In the esophagus, right?
Oh my
Yes.
God. That part
Wild.
really messed me up, man. Like when they were flying over the house and you could hear screaming and stuff.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, and then the blood comes down. Oh, all of
Amazing.
that. Just, but it then
Talk to us.
But then at the beginning of the movie, when Keith David's character dies with a weird rain of nickels and stuff, and we're like, well, what the hell? He was killed by a quarter or a nickel, and I thought, well, that's monetary symbolism for spectacle. Okay, that makes sense. Where the hell did he get all the nickels from? He's eating horses. But Tyler, I know you and I talked about it at the very beginning of the movie. There's a radio playing. OJ's outside with his dad, and it's like, he's listening to the radio and it says something about these hikers that have gone missing. More hikers have gone missing in recent weeks. So it's absolutely hiking equipment falling on them and the stuff that's left over from the hikers. So I thought that was really cool upon like rewatch going, oh man, that's so obvious now. But I had no problem with the ending. I thought the ending was fine. I felt like the movie as a whole would have been better served if the characters weren't developed because I think the ending would have felt more satisfying.
I don't know that I can add too much more to that because that's basically where I landed on it. I'll acknowledge when I thought the thing with the taking of the picture at the end, I was like, okay, you did an art, all right, and that's cool. But I would have preferred. I'd be lying. I'd be disingenuous if I didn't say I would have preferred more to that. Like either explain it more but having her get the shot. And yes, I get like when she made it about helping others. That's why that's when she succeeds, as opposed to like everything else up to that was about helping themselves. So that's not lost on me. But like, it's almost like we've seen Jordan go 6-0 in the finals. And if he had gone a seventh time, and even if they won, but like he wasn't quite what we had seen in the previous 6. That's kind of how I felt with this for Peele. Like again, it's Jordan, so if hey, look, it's going to be masterfully shot, and to the point that you just made, Brad. That scene where like the blood is raining down on the house.
Oh my God,
absolutely phenomenal, and honestly. All of that stuff was, it had elements, that were terrifying. It had elements where it was like, oh shit, you come to the realization, but like I said, it just wasn't enough. Like it felt like I wanted a really, really good meal, and I got, an appetizer. And again, it was a gourmet appetizer, and you know what, some like 4-star Michelin chef or whatever you call that, prepared it, but I still was a little bit hungry at the end of it. And again, I'm willing to acknowledge that I haven't watched it again. And with all of his films so far, the rewatch is where you really put it together. But upon first viewing, which is what I'm representing here, it just wasn't quite enough.
There were other Western elements that I really appreciated about it. To me, I'm a big fan of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I don't care. It is a long ass movie. But I love how drawn out shots are. That opening shot of like the coyote walking by the bar and then just lots of standing there for like 2 minutes of just dust blowing by and everything. There was a lot of this film that I felt the same way to just paint a picture of just isolation and just how big the world is and how we
so vast.
Yeah. And how we really have no understanding of what everything is out there. Because man, when I tell you that I read the news that we found a continent that we didn't know existed off the coast of New Zealand, just below the surface of the water, like 4 or 5 years ago, and we're finding like new organs every once in a while, like just we don't know anything. We had gravitational waves hit the planet like maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and we all slowed down for a fraction of a second, but because of relativity, we'd never notice it. Because we're all slowing down together. And it's shit like that where it's like, well, if that's happening, what the hell else is happening out here? We can't go to the bottom of the ocean, for God's sake. So what's to say there's not something living up in the Rockies right now that's just like Jean Jacket, because we're not going up there. It's cold. It's isolated.
Cloud hasn't moved for 6 months.
Yes.
In Colorado.
So I absolutely love that idea. And a lot of people were like, the movie was too slow. And it was like, no, the movie was quiet. There's a difference.
Pacing.
Yes. And did it have some pacing issues? I thought at points it was a little slow, or he didn't pull the trigger fast enough on doing something. But I love that isolation feeling, that just sort of tense, sort of looming dread. Like you don't know what's about to happen, and it's just I was white knuckling that whole movie.
Yeah,
The
we got
scariest-
that in Get Out as well, right? You knew
Yes.
something bad was forthcoming,
It's
but
total bad
Peele's
vibes, right?
Peele's gonna make you wait for this. Yeah,
And that was up
Yeah.
for the music. And I think anytime I watch a horror movie that I know is going to be a horror movie, and they start playing some old mono bullshit from the 1940s that sounds like it's on a record, I know bad things are about to happen. It's just a given, right? Like it's just a given. It gives me Evil Dead vibes. Or at the end of the original Evil Dead, it's just Sam Raimi playing really, really happy piano music after every character just died. The end, happy piano music as people leave the theater. Just absolutely crazy and brutal. So I really liked how he paced it out. I love, like Jabari, what you said. I love that it was beautifully shot. I thought the cinematography in this movie was incredible, and it gave us something that we've never seen before, which unfortunately plays to spectacle.
Yeah, it all comes back to that. Peelecast is a 19 Media Group production. You can find 19 Media Group at 19M Group, and you can find each of us on Twitter at Tyler J. McDowell, at Win Duster, and at Jabari Davis NBA.